Guys, the new Bamboo Pen and Touch from Wacom. Wacom? Dang it. I probably should get the name straight before I start saying it, right? Let me look that up real quick. Hey guys, welcome to another video review brought to you by BuyMeAnIPhone.com. Now today guys, I have a very special review lined up, and I'm going to be reviewing for you the Wacom Bamboo Pen and Touch. And for those of you that aren't familiar with these, this is basically another input device that would take the place of your mouse, that you can use either a pen or your finger. And for those of you that are Mac users, it's going to be very familiar to you as well. So let's go ahead and switch to the close-up camera. I'm going to talk about this product, I'm going to unbox it for you, and I'm going to give you a demonstration of how it works, and basically just give you my thoughts on what I think about the Wacom Bamboo Pen and Touch. So let's do that on the other close-up camera now. Alright guys, so here we have the Wacom Bamboo Pen and Touch. Here's the box that it comes in, guys. Very nice box. Let's go ahead and take everything out and let me show you what comes in this. So pull that piece off. Another box. Bamboo. Pull this out. Pop that open. And there's usually a little panel right here with information. Welcome to your Bamboo experience. Share and let us know how it goes. It's all in lots of different languages. Okay? So that's right there. Pull it off. Here we have the Wacom tablet in the packed up right here. We got our CD software so we can install the drivers and get that working right there. It also comes with, I believe, Photoshop Elements as well. I'll show you guys what's in here in just a second. And of course, can't forget the pen, nice and wrapped up. And it also comes with additional tips as well. So, and I'll show you why that's important as well. So this is a pressure-sensitive pen, and I'm gonna give you guys a demonstration of how all this stuff works on the computer. I'm gonna do like a double display. I'm gonna show you the pen while I'm using it, and I'm gonna show you how it looks like on the screen on my computer. So here we have the tablet. Super thin, very lightweight. This is something that if you guys use a laptop and you're moving around, you're always moving around in what's the word I'm thinking of, traveling a lot, commuting. You could easily slip this into your laptop bag. Look how thin that is. It's probably definitely thinner than the MacBook Air. Super thin, very lightweight, very thin. I think this is it's plastic, so construction's really good. I don't think it's going to mess up or break up on you, and it's definitely not going to scratch because it's you use the pen on the textured piece right here, the sensitive piece, and it doesn't. And it's pressure sensitive, so you can put as much pressure as you want onto it, and it does a pretty good job. There's no scratches. I've been using this for about a month, and the reason I've used this for a month, guys, is this is not an easy peripheral to get used to using, at least not for me. Now, guys, I'm a graphic designer, and I've worked with other graphic designers that like using Wacom pads for doing graphic design and such, and I've never actually gotten a chance to experience it, to actually fully use it for a day to see how my experience would go with it. And it was really interesting. And I'll tell you what, guys, the learning curve on these tablets it's up there, at least with the pen aspect. Now remember, this is the pen and the touch, so not only can you use the pen for the input device, but you can also use your finger as well. And for those of you that are Mac users, the gestures that you can use with this are very similar to what you would use on the MacBook Touch. So you can do two-finger gestures, you can do rotate. I'll give you guys demonstrations of all this a little bit later on. But so this does work with Mac or PC. And so if you are a Mac owner and you have used a Macintosh laptop, MacBook, whatever, I think that the gestures, it should be no problem getting used to two fingers scrolling up and down, all those types of things like that. And those are all the types of inputs that this will accept. So let's see, open up the CD here, so I can show you what it comes with. So we have our Bamboo Quick Start Guide. Okay, this is the Bamboo installation disc, Bamboo tablet driver for Windows and Mac. Need that. This is the Bamboo Pen and Touch software bundle. Comes with a couple of different things that you can use on there. Privileges program, some information in there, and some stuff for Cafe Press and Shutterfly, some extra stuff that just tossed in there. Okay, so that's what comes in with the CD pack. Let's put that to the side. So like I was saying, guys, obviously USB 2.0. Every computer has that, right? Pretty long cord, so if your computer's underneath your desk or really far away, definitely won't have a problem reaching it. This cord's at least 4 feet long. Okay. As you can see here on the side here, it has this little loop, and that's actually where you keep your pen. So if you have a messy desk like I tend to have sometimes, you might lose your pen or get it mixed up with all your other pens. You might take and stick in your pen cup or whatever, and you lose track of it. So this kind of helps you keep it there. I probably would have liked something a little bit easier to get to if I was like, maybe like one of those things like an inkwell type of thing where you could stick it in there, it would just stand up straight like this, and you can pull it out, use it, pop it back in there. But it's just something they threw in there. I didn't even have to do that if they didn't want to. As you can see here, it has 4 buttons on the side, and these are programmable buttons. We got 2 large ones on top and on bottom, and in the middle is 2 smaller ones. Right there. And so this whole surface right here is what you would use as an input device. So that's the one thing that's a little bit unique about this, guys. You can't consider this like a normal trackpad on your MacBook or laptop, like I was saying before, because the one thing that's different is obviously the area is much larger. So that does take a little bit of time to get used to. So when you're moving around and everything like that, it's a much bigger surface. But the cool thing is you can't customize it to be, if you don't want to utilize this whole space, you can make it to where it's only sensitive in small areas, like just in the center right here. And this is something I found very useful for the pen at first, because when you're using the pen and the finger, they work in 2 different ways. Now when you use your finger, it's just like a regular trackpad, okay? You move your mouse up and down, just like you would like the mouse in your hand. When you get to the edge of the screen, you move your finger and you keep going up, and it keeps scrolling the mouse up to the higher top of the screen. Now when you use the pen, the input device on the pen is much different. When you're using your pen, it's almost as if this area right here is your computer screen. So if you want to touch something on the top of your screen, you put your mouse on the top, your pen, you point up here on the top. And when you want to touch something on the bottom of the screen, you put your pen on the bottom. There's no dragging. There's no lifting and dragging. So if I put if I put the pen right here, as I move across, it's moving across the whole plane of my screen. So you might think, well, that's awesome. You have this huge area to work with, which is fine. But just imagine, guys, when you're moving your wrist, this is a lot of movement to be. I don't even understand how people can use Wacom tablets bigger than this. But for me, it was pretty strenuous because you're going back and forth, moving across. So for what I did, and I'll show you how I set this up on the computer, is I actually set it up to where instead of having to move my wrist in so many different directions to get to across the screen, you can actually do it to where when you're using the pen, you can tell that I only want the center small area to be designated for my screen. So instead of utilizing this full space, it pushes it down to here. So that way, all I got to do is this. I only move it. If I can go from here, from one screen to the other screen, from just a couple inches. And you barely do any movements. Now, of course, when you do that, it makes things a little less precise because you're cramming everything into a small area. But for when you're just navigating, surfing the web, and those types of things, I think it works a lot better. At least it did for me. Now, if you notice on the pen, there's 2 buttons right here. Let me see if I can let me get a zoom in so you guys can see this. So on the pen, and this pen is not battery powered. There's no power. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have no idea how this pen actually works and works with this tablet. It's not powered. There's no batteries required at all. There are removable tips that you can pull out, like I showed you before. So if the tip gets a little worn down, or maybe you get like a nick on it, you don't want to start scratching your tablet up. So you pull that tip out, pop in a new one. So if you see right here, there's 2 buttons. There's one right there on the bottom, and there's one here on the top. It's kind of like a rocker right there. It rocks back and forth. And the cool thing about that is you can program it to, like, if you want to scroll, you can hold down the bottom one. When you want to scroll across the page, you can just hold and scroll. And the top button is usually used for the right click on the mouse. So if you want to right click an item, you tap on it, the little drop down menu comes out and you select it. You tap on that option and selection. So that's how those 2 buttons work. And you can change those as well. And the other cool thing too, especially for you guys that are artists and may use your computer for painting or digital paint, Photoshop, and those kind of things, this actually works as an eraser. So if you're writing something, you're drawing or whatever, you're doing like a quick sketch or handwriting something, oh, you messed up, all you gotta do is turn your pen up, and it'll automatically start erasing it. So in Photoshop automatically recognizes the back of this pen as an eraser. So you can go in and start erasing whatever it is that you're working on, which is pretty cool. The pen's lightweight, it's very comfortable to use. Everybody knows how to use a pen, so this is it's not even an issue at all. It's trying to get used to the pen. Really comfortable to work with. I didn't notice my hand cramping up or anything like that. It's very lightweight, like I said, very easy to use. So let me go ahead and switch to the camera, camera angle, I should say. And I'm going to give you guys a demonstration of some of the gestures that you can use with this device, okay? And I'm also going to show you how the pen works as well. And I'll show you an example of the pressure sensitivity. It blows my mind how sensitive you can use this pen, how the pressure sensitive it really is. It's almost, for those of you that may have done airbrushing, I used to do airbrushing in the past in high school. And you can actually use this as if it's an airbrush, like within Photoshop, which is really cool. I'll give you guys a demonstration of how this works. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to split the screen. I'm going to show you the Wacom pad on one one camera angle, and I'm going to show you my desktop screen so you can see what I'm doing with my hands and the movements I'm doing, and you can see how it's interacting with the computer. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch that camera angle now. Alright guys, so here we go. So I have a different angle that I've pulled up the tablet here, the Bamboo Pen Touch, so I can show you some of the gestures that basically to get it to work on the computer. So I'm going to be screen capturing here on the computer, and I'm going to show you the double angle here of what I'm actually doing with my hands. So first off guys, just like I mentioned earlier before, if you have, or if you're familiar with the way the MacBook Pros, the way the touch screens are on those, the multi-touch, how they work, it's very similar to how this works, the multi-touch on the Bamboo Pen Touch. So for one, navigation is just basically moving your finger around, just like a regular touchpad. You have to pick up your finger and drag sometimes to get to the other end of the page. Normal stuff like that. To click, you just tap it down one there, or you could use the primary button to click right there as well. And you can actually program all these buttons right here. So this could be, this right now, this is my left click, this is my right click, and this isn't doing anything, and this actually turns off. Excuse me. This turns off the touch, which will come in handy when I show you how the pen works. So we're going to put the touch back on there. Okay, and the other cool thing too, like right clicking, just like on the Mac, 2 fingers does the right click, and that's all you have to do. So you can select what you want, select it, and that's what the option you'll pick there. And let me go ahead and show you some other features here, like on a web page. So let's open up Buy Me an iPhone right here. So here's Buy Me an iPhone. So to scroll, you use 2 fingers. Put them down there and just drag, and that's basically how you scroll up and down, just like on a MacBook. Cool thing about this though too is, if say you have a really long website, like Buy Me an iPhone is pretty long, and there's about 10 posts on the front page, or if you're looking at a PDF, a Word document, whatever it is, if you want to scroll through real fast, you can actually flick, and it'll continue to scroll, and you put your fingers down and it'll stop. So if you just want to get to the top really fast, you can just do the whole, oops, thinks I want to right click there. No, it'll keep scrolling like that. So that's kind of a nice feature to have on there. One thing that's really cool is to also, let's go ahead and let me click on this post right here. So what you can also do is you can go forward and back using the touchpad as well. And I apologize for my voice. I'm dealing with little allergy issues, so my throat is bugging me here. Okay, so I jumped to another page here. So if I'm going to go back to the other page, put 2 fingers down, you can swipe left to go back and swipe right to go forward. So I just want to go back. So if I swipe left, as you can see there, it's loading, there it goes, and then it jumps back to the front page right there. So that's another way you can navigate as well. And one thing too, if you want to click and drag on something like a file or like the window, you have to do double tap. And the one thing to keep in mind about this is when you double tap, you keep your finger pressed on it, you don't pick it back up. So let me show you. So if I want to drag this window here, I go double tap, so now I can move this window around a different place. If I'm done with it, let it go. That's it. And it works the same way with files as well. If you want to move and drag a file, you double tap it and you drag into there. Other cool thing that you can do here that probably some people might not even be aware that you can do on Macs, I'm sure there's probably a way to do this on PCs as well, is to zoom. And so if you let me close this window here. So if you do the zoom like the same way you would on your iPhone, which would be very familiar to with you. Let me see if I can get this gesture to work. There you go. So if you want to zoom in on a certain area of a web page, to see, get a closer look at it, all you gotta do is do the pinch, and that'll zoom you in and out. Pretty cool. I'm not sure how much handy it would come in as far as web browsing goes, but I'll show you how cool it is when you use this kind of feature in like a program like Photoshop, which is really helpful. And also the rotate feature with the finger as well. So let's go ahead and switch to the pen now. Let me show you guys the pen. Now guys, one of the biggest issues I have with the pen, and that took me the longest to get used to, is the way you navigate with the pen. Like I mentioned earlier, this is the actual screen right here that we're using on the computer right here. And so the way you navigate is you float your pen above the tablet. You never actually touch it. When you touch it, that's like clicking. That's like a left click, okay? So if you look on the screen here, see how it's moving around? And you can tell the light changes to orange or the amber color to let you know that it is recognizing that input in there. So the cool thing about the pen is that may be kind of odd to get used to is usually when you use a mouse you have to click or move, drag, pick up the mouse and drag, or move it like that. With the pen, if I put my pen in the center of the tablet, it's in the center of the page. If I put it on the right side, it jumps to the right side of the page. If I put it on the left, it jumps to the left. So this is actually using this area right here as the screen on the computer. So there's no picking up and dragging when you're using the pen, which is kind of nice. Now the one thing I've adjusted here, that I'll show you in the settings a little bit later, is obviously this is a big area right here to move around. So for me, I don't like to have to go from one angle all the way to the other page, back and forth. Because that's, for me, that's, you know, that's a lot of wrist movement to go back and forth. If you're doing this all day long, you know, your wrist probably get a little tired doing that. So what you can actually do is you can actually adjust it to make this edge go a little bit smaller. So right now I have mine set up to where it'll actually, the input is right here in the center. So I'm using only about this much space right here in the center right here to use the pen. So for that reason, I don't have to move my wrist. Basically, if I put my pen here, it's on the far right edge of the page right there. If I put my pen over here, that's the other edge of it. So I don't have to go to the complete edge of this. So that way I don't have to be like doing lots of sweeping movements, and you know, your wrist is going to start bugging you after a while. So I have that pushed in a little bit. So if you guys notice on the screen, it's jumping out a little weird and stuff like that. That's the reason why it's doing that. Okay. So let's go ahead and minimize this, and let's open up Photoshop. Let me show you some really cool things that this can do. Now, guys, you know, Wacom has a bunch of other tablets, and there's other ones that are geared more for the professional graphic designer. You know, but you can use this one for graphic design as well. And I'm a graphic designer, so I did play with this as well at my job for a little bit. For me, I didn't stick with it too long though, because it kind of slowed down my workflow. I'm just so used to using the mouse like everybody is. I think it would take you some time to really become really proficient and fast using this while doing stuff. But the really cool feature I noticed that when I was playing with this is that it's really very touch sensitive and pressure sensitive, I should say. So let me give you guys an example of that. So if I have Photoshop here open, I'm going to select my brush tool, and you know, I'll select the airbrush option right here. And so let me see how big. Okay, so whenever you're moving your pen, it's very smooth, it's very fluid. You can see here. And if you notice at the tip, if you press down really hard and do a flick, see how the end of it tapers right there? So it can actually tell whenever you're picking up your pen. See that? See those angled brush strokes? Which is really cool. So if you're the type of person that likes to do a little cartooning, or maybe you like to write notes, you know, depends on whatever the situation is, that is really nice to play with. And so you can kind of do, and I used to do a lot of airbrushing when I was younger in high school. And so this kind of reminds me of, like, you know, when you used to do airbrushing like stars or different letterings or stuff like that, you know, different types of things you would do, which is really cool. Let me give you guys an example of what you could do, you know, if you take some time. So this is something I was playing around with. Me and my daughter were messing around with stuff, and so, if you can see my little palm tree here, all it is those strokes, those flat strokes. And so let me show you, like, if I'm messing with this and I want to use my fingers, I can zoom in, two fingers, move around. Let's see. So you can see all the details, the scratching right there, all those lines and such to make up that. Here's the really cool thing though. So if I want to rotate, which isn't 100% accurate, especially in Photoshop, but if you want to use this like an iPhoto, you can. Put two fingers down, make sure your thumb is stationary, and rotate the index finger. And it's kind of tricky to get it to recognize it. It doesn't always work, like you can obviously tell right now. It thinks I want to scroll. Let's see if I can do that again. There we go. So see how it's rotating? So it's not 100% like accurate, because I'm not, you know, it's kind of awkward to kind of get it to go. But if you just want to do a simple rotate on an image like an iPhoto or whatever, it's easy. 1, 2, 3, just do it, and it'll automatically shift to like 90 degrees sideways or whatever. Here I have a little more movement, so it's a little harder to get real accurate. So as you can see, like if you're drawing, if you're moving around, you could drop your two fingers down, do a little pen work. But you can go between, you know, using the pen and that, you know, and then moving around. The cool thing too is if you use the back end of the pen, it actually acts as a eraser. So let's say if I want to flip it around, and if I want to do this, see, now it's erasing it. That thing in there. And of course you can change the size if you want the eraser to be larger, but that's kind of cool. So it recognizes the back as the eraser. So if I flip it over, now I'm back to using the pen. Very cool. So these are some of the things you can do right here. And so also, let me go ahead and show you on the navigating a web page with the pen as well. It works a little differently with that as well. So let's go ahead and minimize Photoshop real fast and jump back to the web browser. Go back to buy me an iPhone, which seems to be still zoomed in. Okay, so if you see on the top of the pen right here, there's two little buttons right here. There's one right here, and there's one right here. There's a small one. So the small one right here is what you use to scroll, which is really nice. So like if you're on a web page, you click on that and it lets you scroll. It changes it to the hand tool. Let's go back a page so the page is a little longer. So you just hold on to that, and it'll actually let you scroll throughout the whole page, which is really cool. scroll left, scroll right, up and down, doesn't even matter. And so you use the second button as your right click. So if I want to right click on something, you tap that, oh, there goes a new folder. And if you hold it down, you can select. When you let go of it, that does a selection right there, which is pretty cool. So you see how that works? And so for the pen, you hold it, click and drag like that. If you want to right click, you press the second button. And that's pretty much it. So that's all you can really do with the pen. When it comes to zooming and that type of stuff, that's when you would use the touch. So like I was showing you before, if you're doing stuff and you find yourself accidentally using your fingers, or your fingers are bumping into this, you can actually lock it down. If you press the top button, you can say touch off, and so they won't recognize your finger anymore. See, it's not moving. It'll only recognize it through the pen, which is really cool. Let me go ahead and show you some of the options that you can play around with here, just really briefly. I don't want to get too into the options. I want to go to my system preferences, bamboo. So here we have eraser feel, soft and firm. Right click, you can program those two little nubs, those two buttons on the top of the pen. You can program to be different options, whatever you want them to be. Tip feel, soft or firm. Double click distance, so that's like how fast you have to double click it. Tracking, and this is where you would change the pen options. Let me go and show you where I changed it. So under pen mode details, you see right here, this shows you what the screen in here compared to the actual area of the tablet. So you see how I brought my area in a little bit tighter, so I don't have to move my hand so far across the whole tablet. So you can adjust that right here. Tablet area, you click on portion, click on set, and you can actually push that little area in there to adjust that to be to how you want the screen to be, or how you want the navigation to be with the pen. That's really cool. So let's go to tablet here. You can be left-handed, you can be right-handed, which basically just swaps over the buttons. You can actually, these are where you customize all these buttons right here. So if I want to make this the back button, or if I want to use my expose to do like show desktop or whatever, I can do it to where I can press on that. All of my windows will disappear. For those of you that are Mac users, you know what I'm talking about. Touch speed, so we have the pointer speed, pointer acceleration, double tap time, scrolling speed, touch functions, and so this kind of gives you a demonstration of all the different things and how they work. And it gives you, see an example here, how to scroll, how to do zooming, how to drag. Just kind of helps you out with those as well. And then the pop-up menu, I'm not sure what this is right here. To be quite honest, I'm not sure what the pop-up menu is. Pop-up items, drag to rearrange, order, add, remove. I don't really know, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. We'll just skip right over that part there. So that's pretty much it, guys, and so hopefully I give you a pretty good idea of how this works. Like I said before, the only part that was difficult for me to get used to is when I use the pen is knowing the distance from the tip of the pen to the tablet. So when you're using this, you're not really looking down all the time, obviously, like you would in the mouse. You're not staring down to see how far. So when you're blindly using this, it takes a long time to really get used to how close the tip of your pen is, so you can do a selection, So there'll be times when I'm stopping and I feel like I'm about to touch it, about to touch it. Oh, there it is. Now I finally touched it. So that type of thing might be somewhat of a learning curve. So this is the type of product, guys, that you're either gonna really like it or you're gonna really get frustrated with it. And so I'll admit, at first it was very frustrating to get used to this because I've been using the mouse for all of my life pretty much, and I use the mouse every single day for at least 10 hours a day. So to switch from that to this, there was quite a bit of a learning curve for me. But after a while, it's actually really fun, and depending on the uses that you want to use this for, like I showed you in Photoshop, that's kind of hand sketch type of things, or if you want to do notes, or make annotations or something on PDFs or Word documents, those types of things like that, I think it really would come in handy. But like I said, this is it's almost like a niche product. You're either gonna like it or you're not gonna like it. So for me, I enjoyed using it, but I don't think I'm ready to give up my mouse just yet. So that's just me personally, guys. I hope you like this review. If you want to check out more information, if you can go to Wacom.com, and you can check out the Bamboo Pen Touch. This retails for $99, as you can see right here, pretty reasonably priced. And they have a lot of other videos here, probably a lot better demonstration that I could give. They have what is multi-touch, what is pen input, what are gestures, that types of things. So that way you can really get use and know exactly how to use this to the best of what it offers. Okay. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. If you have known this product and you've been using it for a while, why don't you go ahead and leave us a comment and tell us what you think about it. And for me, that's going to be it, guys. This is another video review brought to you by BuyMeAnIPhone.com. Thanks for watching.